clips, headlines, and references being shared across the community, organized for quick browsing. Use it to spot patterns, pull links, and build your own research list. Qnotables.com. Browse the notables, verify the facts, stay informed. All reports can be found on qresearch or qnotables.com. Notables do not equal endorsements. We are researchers who deal in open source information, reasoned argument, and dank memes. We do battle in the sphere of ideas and ideas only. We neither need nor condone the use of force in our work here.
From the Q Research Boards, January 25, 2026, Admiral Byrd's old Antarctic expeditions are back in the spotlight as online researchers trade stories about a supposed Freemason Lodge 777, nicknamed the Order of the Penguin. Historians say Byrd was a high-profile explorer with many fraternal ties, but there is little hard evidence for a formal lodge at the South Pole. The renewed interest shows how Antarctica has become a magnet for speculation about secret bases, treaties, and elite symbolism. Australian police say 13 suspects have been charged in connection with a child abuse ring that allegedly trafficked and exploited nearly 100 children in the Philippines. Investigators accuse the group of paying for live-streamed abuse and arranging travel to assault minors overseas. Authorities worked with Filipino police and international partners to shut down the network. The case highlights how online platforms are being used to facilitate cross-border crimes against children and how joint policing can expose them. In Minnesota, analysts are still piecing together what happened in the chaotic shooting tied to the ICE protests. Multiple videos show a fast-moving confrontation, shifting angles, and conflicting claims about who pulled a gun and when. Investigators say they are reviewing officer body cam footage, civilian clips, and witness statements. For now, officials warn the public not to jump to conclusions based on partial video and social media rumors while the formal inquiry runs its course. Some viewers are surprised to learn that former ICE Director Tom Homan actually served under President Obama and received the Presidential Rank Award for Distinguished Service for his work in immigration enforcement. That honor is given to a small number of senior career officials each year. Homan later became a top Trump immigration advisor, but his record shows that tough enforcement was viewed as valuable by both parties long before the current political fight over the border. The acting FBI director for Minnesota is warning about a major spike in online threats after the ICE clash in Minneapolis. According to his public statements, agents are tracking posts that encourage violence against law enforcement and federal facilities. The Bureau says it will treat credible threats as federal crimes, regardless of politics. Officials stress that peaceful protest is protected, but calls for attacks on officers or informants cross a clear legal line and will be prosecuted. President Trump is threatening a 100% tariff on Canadian goods if Ottawa allows itself to be used as a transshipment hub for Chinese imports dodging U.S. trade rules. Under American law, Chinese products that are only lightly processed in a third country can still face U.S. duties. Trump's message is that allies cannot profit by helping Beijing slip around tariffs. The White House says real friends respect U.S. sovereignty and join the crackdown on economic cheating. At Davos and similar forums, some tech futurists are again boasting that modern systems can manipulate time and space, shrinking distance, speeding growth, and boosting productivity through automation and AI. Critics hear that language and worry about elites who treat whole populations like variables in a model. The key question for viewers: do these tools serve ordinary citizens, or do they mainly help global corporations and governments centralize control behind a glossy buzzword salad? In Britain, royal drama continues. Reports in London's press say Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew are in a fragile emotional state over pressure to leave Royal Lodge, their longtime home. Friends claim Princess Eugenie has pulled back from her father after the fallout from the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. The palace has not confirmed those personal details, but the story shows how the Epstein cases still cast a long shadow over the House of Windsor. Online, Trump ally Dan Scavino is pushing morale content, posting a Carol of the Bells montage tied to border and ICE operations. The video mixes dramatic music with clips of military flyovers, storm imagery, and patriotic scenes. For supporters, it is a rallying cry that says the administration is calm and in control despite unrest. For critics, it is more evidence of how politics and propaganda now blend into social media entertainment. Scavino is also posting simple statements like, "I stand with Border Patrol and I stand with ICE," amplifying the administration's message that federal agents on the ground are the ones facing real danger, not the activists. The White House wants Americans to see frontline officers as neighbors and veterans doing a hard job, not villains in a political narrative. Expect that theme to continue as legal battles over deportations play out. As a major winter storm targets big East Coast cities, Scavino's feed is highlighting headlines like intense winter storm, tying harsh weather to the idea of resilience and preparedness. The message dovetails with official forecasts, warning of heavy snow, strong winds, and possible power outages from multiple systems sweeping across the country. Emergency agencies are urging residents to stock up, check on neighbors, and avoid risky travel until conditions improve. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth is trending after posting a segment titled, "How to Avoid ICE," flipping the usual activist talking points on their head. Instead of coaching illegal immigrants, he walks viewers through how law-abiding citizens can steer clear of legal trouble, obey the law, stay off extremist watch lists, and support officers instead of fighting them. Hegseth's point is blunt. If you are not breaking immigration or criminal law, you do not need to hide from ICE at all. New footage from Minneapolis shows journalist James O'Keefe and his crew surrounded by a hostile crowd while covering the anti-ICE protests. Shouts of "kill him" and physical intimidation are clearly audible on the video. O'Keefe says the mob tried to block his exit and destroy equipment before police intervened. Even those who dislike his undercover work should see this for what it is: an attack on press freedom and a dangerous escalation of street politics. Vice President J.D. Vance says the chaos in Minneapolis is not organic. He calls it engineered, pointing to far-left organizers, sympathetic local politicians, and outside money as the drivers behind riots and attacks on federal agents. In Vance's view, Minneapolis is a test bed for how much street intimidation can be used to influence national immigration policy. He wants federal investigators to follow the money and expose who is paying for the unrest. A report circulating online claims a Chinese Communist Party-linked billionaire who helped fund anti-ICE protests has suddenly vanished from public view. While details are thin and not all aspects are confirmed, there is a well-documented pattern of wealthy Chinese figures going missing after falling out of favor with Beijing. If this case is real, it would raise serious questions about foreign influence in U.S. domestic protests and about internal CCP power struggles. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is going viral for a tongue-in-cheek post about healthy living. Responding to wellness advice, he joked that people will have to pry my Diet Coke out of my cold, dead hands. It is a small story, but it fits a larger pattern. Trump-era officials still know how to use humor to connect with supporters and needle critics, even on something as simple as soda preferences. President Trump is pushing back hard on Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker's claim that red state crime is the real problem in America. In a recent statement, Trump allies called that line a red herring, pointing out that some of the worst homicide and carjacking rates are in deep blue cities. They say Pritzker should be begging for federal help, including the National Guard if necessary, instead of playing statistics games to deflect from his own record. The U.S. Department of Energy is using the current cold wave to promote a simple message: embrace the energy. Behind the slogan is a serious point. America's grid is under stress from winter storms, growing demand, and intermittent renewables. DOE officials are quietly pushing utilities to harden lines, expand baseload capacity, and rethink policies that push nuclear and coal offline faster than reliable replacements came online.
At shop.isawaya.com, everything you buy supports Qn.top, the place where people talk freely no matter what. Check out our Qn Honey Pot, a jar of yummy honey that's as strong as your voice. Put it on toaster and tea. It's not just honey, it's freedom in every bite. Then there's Qn Butter, a smooth handmade skin cream that makes you feel good while you fight for what's right. Awesome wood and pieces for display only. Hang them up or set them out. They're for showing off Qn's tough spirit. Want to help even more? Get a proto membership. So go to shop.isawaya.com now and grab some goodies. Help Qn.top keep free speech alive, and let's keep the ideas flowing loud and free.
All reports can be found on QResearch or Qnotables.com. Notables do not equal endorsements. We are researchers who deal in open-source information, reasoned argument, and dank memes. We do battle in the sphere of ideas and ideas only. We neither need nor condone the use of force in our work here. From the Q Research Board's January 25th, 2026 online decoders are buzzing about a graphic showing 16 penguins and black and white chess pieces, branding it War Games and Checkmate. For this community, penguins hint at Antarctica, secret treaties, and long-term strategy. Whether you buy the symbolism or not, the phenomenon is real. Thousands of people now crowdsource open-source intel, looking for patterns in military movements, financial shifts, and diplomatic statements that corporate media never bothers to examine. Secretary Noem did not hold back in a press conference on the Minnesota crisis, asking bluntly, who would trust Governor Walz at this point? She criticized his rhetoric about ICE, his past support for sanctuary policies, and his slow reaction to rising street violence. Her message was that state leaders who undermine law enforcement in good times should not be surprised when things spin out of control in a crisis. In Washington, a partial government shutdown is again on the table. Reports say Senate Democrats are threatening to hold Department of Homeland Security funding hostage unless they can limit ICE operations after the Minnesota shootings. Republicans counter that tying DHS money to demands from street agitators would reward violence. Once again, federal workers and basic services are stuck in the middle of a political brawl over the border. Critics on the right are calling the Minnesota unrest Antifa tactics, pointing to masked activists, coordinated signal chats, and direct attacks on police and ICE. One senior official noted that similar methods were used in California before Trump's Justice Department clamped down. The administration says the same playbook will be used in Minnesota. Identify ringleaders, strip any improper nonprofit status, and prosecute those who cross the line from protest into organized violence. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is under fire after tweeting that Americans are being killed in the street by their government and urging Senate Democrats to block ICE funding. Supporters say she is speaking up for civil rights. Critics say she is inflaming tensions and demonizing officers who are already under attack. The larger question remains whether elected officials should be encouraging budget showdowns while riots and shootings are still unfolding. The Dutch government has formally condemned President Trump's tough talk about NATO troops in Afghanistan, calling his comments irresponsible and damaging to alliance unity. Dutch leaders argue that their soldiers fought and died alongside Americans and deserve respect, not threats. Trump's backers respond that European capitals still rely heavily on U.S. power while underinvesting in their own defense, and that some blunt truth-telling is long overdue. Democrat Adam Schiff is using the Minnesota events to renew his call to get ICE out of our cities. He argues that federal immigration enforcement should stay away from local policing, and that raids in urban neighborhoods are destabilizing. Opponents say that approach would turn entire metro areas into safe havens for criminal illegal aliens, forcing local cops to deal with repeat offenders who should have been removed from the country. Commentators are joking that Minnesota is now the land of 1,000 video angles, as seemingly every protester, bystander, and journalist uploads their own clips of clashes with ICE. The flood of footage can help reveal the truth, but it also fuels confusion when short, edited fragments go viral without context. Law enforcement officials say they are now treating social media video as both evidence and a trigger for rapid misinformation. The official Democrat Party account escalated rhetoric against former Trump advisor Stephen Miller, calling him a liar with blood on your hands over his defense of ICE. The attack reflects how toxic the immigration debate has become. Republicans say that kind of language puts a target on the backs of staffers and career officers. Democrats insist they are simply holding architects of tough enforcement policies accountable. Even some commentators on the left admit that the left is eating its own. Activists are publicly attacking Democrat lawmakers for not going far enough against ICE, while establishment figures worry the rhetoric is turning moderate voters away. The infighting highlights a deeper divide between professional politicians who want carefully managed protests and street organizers who see open confrontation as the only way to force change. Reports say President Trump will skip this year's Super Bowl, telling aides he is fed up with politicized halftime shows and corporate lectures during what used to be a unifying national event. While he has not ruled out a future appearance, for now he is using the moment to contrast his America First messaging with the NFL's recent focus on progressive causes, diversity branding, and lectures on social justice. The U.S. Army is using the brutal winter storm to underline a simple point. No matter the weather, we stand ready to defend this nation. Photos and posts show soldiers training in snow, maintaining vehicles, and standing guard in icy conditions. The message is aimed at both allies and adversaries. While politics rage at home, America's uniformed forces remain on duty around the world, 24/7. Senate Leader Chuck Schumer is signaling that Democrats may block the next funding bill if it contains what they call hardline money for DHS and ICE. He claims the administration is abusing enforcement powers, while Republicans argue that refusing to fund border security in the middle of a migrant surge is reckless. With the House already in recess, the standoff raises real odds of a last-minute scramble to avoid a partial shutdown. The House has already passed a combined minibus spending package and then left town, meaning the Senate must take it or leave it as is. There is little appetite in the House to cancel recess and come back. That gives senators limited room to maneuver as they fight over DHS, ICE, and Ukraine aid. Once again, Congress's habit of governing by deadline sets up a cliff-edge drama that could have been avoided with normal budgeting. On the sports front, American speed skating star Jordan Stoltz is back in the headlines after another dominant performance, reinforcing his status as a favorite for multiple gold medals at the Milano Cortina 2026 Winter Games. Stoltz has already broken records at a young age and is seen as a once-in-a-generation talent. His success is one of the few stories that still unites viewers across political lines. U.S. Air Force Global Strike Command is circulating a message that leadership is a hands-on mission, accompanied by images of commanders working directly with air crews and maintenance teams. The goal is to reassure the public and allies that America's nuclear and long-range strike forces are not just abstract assets, but real people constantly drilling to deter adversaries and, if necessary, respond quickly to any major threat. In Abu Dhabi, negotiators from Ukraine, Russia, and the United States have held the first in-person three-way talks since the war began. Reports say senior military and intelligence officials joined the diplomatic teams, discussing prisoner exchanges, grain exports, and possible limits on certain weapons. No breakthrough was announced, but the very fact that all three sides sat down together is being seen as a small step away from uncontrolled escalation. At the Kansas City National Security Campus, a U.S. data scientist used artificial intelligence to spot a new supernova in telescope data, proving the technology's power to find rare events in huge datasets. Now, that same AI toolkit is being used to improve quality control on millions of non-nuclear parts for America's nuclear stockpile, helping ensure the arsenal stays safe, reliable, and effective without live underground testing. Scientists at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory have, for the first time, measured specific nuclear reactions that power stars like our sun. Those measurements feed directly into the complex models used to certify the U.S. nuclear deterrent. The better we understand how fusion and fission really behave, the more confidently American officials can say that existing warheads will work as intended if they are ever needed, without building new ones. Finally, a disturbing note out of Minneapolis. An anonymous activist is bragging online that he has infiltrated encrypted organizing chats all around Minneapolis in order to track and target federal agents. If true, that would cross from political speech into criminal surveillance. Law enforcement experts warn that doxing or stalking officers can lead to real-world harm for them and their families and can trigger serious federal charges for whoever is behind it.
Every voice matters. The power of free speech is more important than ever. Imagine a place where you can share your thoughts freely, explore new ideas, and engage in meaningful conversations anonymously. With online anonymity, you can express yourself without fear of judgment. It's about freedom, creativity, and connection. Join the conversation that matters. Embrace your voice. Celebrate your freedom. Visit 8kun.top today. That's 8kun.top.
That's all for now. Stay alert, stay informed, and never hand your thinking over to anyone on a screen, including me. God bless you, God bless our troops, and God bless the United States of America. See you soon.
I'm gonna pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gotta be biblical.